Today is truly special. The only one who deserves to be celebrated is this daughter. #proud moment. #mother's love. The moment I saw my mother's Instagram post, it felt like someone had struck my chest with a blunt object. In the photo, my mother Diane was smiling ear to ear, shoulder to shoulder with my sister Hannah, who was dressed in a white gown, at what I immediately recognized as a familiar banquet hall. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Today was my wedding day. My family had told me they couldn't attend because my father wasn't feeling well. But now I saw that my mother and Hannah were hosting a lavish birthday party for her on the exact same day as my wedding, in a different venue, without saying a single word to me. And she had posted about it proudly on social media. You've got to be kidding me. I smoothed the hem of my wedding dress gently. This day was supposed to be the most important day of my life. Working as a nurse, I had spent years saving money to support my father's treatment while planning this wedding between night shifts, enduring exhaustion and countless meetings. And finally, this day had arrived. But all it took was one Instagram post to cast a dark shadow over everything. After finishing the rehearsal and returning to the waiting room, my friend and colleague Mandy handed me her phone with a hesitant look. I'm not sure if you should see this, but from the look on Mandy's face, I already felt a pit in my stomach. My fingers trembled as I took the phone and looked at the screen. That's when I saw it. What is this? My lips quivered and my voice came out as a whisper. My wedding was meant to be a small, intimate gathering, just about 50 of our closest family and friends. Still, the preparations had taken months. I'd chosen the dress, the venue, all with my mother by my side. Christina, you'll be the most beautiful bride. That's what she told me. And yet, what now? Now she was at that glamorous venue, proudly celebrating Hannah's birthday instead. I couldn't believe my eyes. The post already had over 100 comments. What a lovely mother and daughter. Congratulations. Hannah looks absolutely stunning. The flood of cheerful comments only tightened the knot in my chest. I snatched my phone and accessed the post from my own account. More than anger, what welled up inside me was despair. Enjoy it, since you don't know a thing. That's what I typed with trembling fingers. I hesitated for a moment before hitting send, but somehow my thumb moved on its own. The comment appeared instantly, standing alone beneath a post that was racking up likes by the second. A single tear slid down my cheek. Why did it come to this? Mandy gently rubbed my back. There are so many people here who genuinely want to celebrate you. No matter what your family did, today you're standing here, about to promise forever to Wesley. All I could do was nod. But deep down, something broke and something else began to awaken. I was done living a life of sacrifice. Just before walking down the aisle, I stopped in front of a large mirror and locked eyes with the woman reflected back at me. My white dress, my tense face, everything stood out starkly under the soft lights. I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "From now on, I will live for myself." At that moment, the chapel doors slowly opened, and radiant light poured in as if announcing the start of a new life. But when I looked toward the seats reserved for my family, they were completely empty. That vacant space said more than words ever could. Still, I didn't bow my head. At the end of the aisle stood Wesley, the one person who had always stood by me. No matter the past, no matter the pain, his presence had been my constant source of strength. With that feeling in my heart, I stepped forward slowly, purposefully. That aisle was more than a path, it was a bridge from my past to my future. The morning after the wedding, I hadn't been able to sleep much. Even as daylight filled the room, my heart remained restless. Thoughts swirled in my mind, heavy and unrelenting. The ceremony had gone off without a hitch, and Wesley had been as kind and steady as always. But I still couldn't forget that cold social media post, the empty family seats. They pierced deeper than I had expected, like thorns that wouldn't come out. I need to really think about the road ahead. The reflection in the mirror showed the fatigue clearly written on my face, and yet behind those tired eyes was something unwavering. I would no longer live sacrificing myself for someone else's approval, and in my heart I made it final. To change my life, I already knew what I had to do first. Stop the loan payments I'd been making for the past 3 years. Ever since my father was diagnosed with cancer, I had been sending money to my mother's account each month to help cover the mortgage on our family home as part of my financial support. But now, I knew I had no reason to keep doing it. I walked into the bank that morning. It was still early, and the counter area was quiet. I took a seat across the glass partition. A young female teller approached me, her name tag reading Kelly. "Good morning. What can I help you with today? I'd like to cancel an automatic transfer. It's a recurring monthly payment toward my family's home loan account." "Certainly. May I have your customer number and an ID for verification?" While I handed over the documents, Kelly began tapping on her screen. Then her fingers paused. "I see here you've been sending $1,200 every month for about 3 years. That's 36 payments in total." "The total amount is?" "Yes, $43,200. "I'm aware." I cut in before she could finish. She looked slightly surprised but nodded. "Do you mind if I ask the reason for stopping it?" "Just for internal record keeping." I hesitated briefly, but the feelings I'd held back for so long rose to the surface naturally. I was doing it for my family, but lately I've experienced something that completely disregarded that goodwill. I don't have a reason to continue anymore." Kelly nodded, her tone gentle. "I understand. We see that sometimes. Please don't forget to take care of your own well-being, too." She turned back to the screen and resumed typing. "I'll stop the payments starting today. No deductions will be made from next month onward. Would you like a printout of your payment history?" "Yes, please. I'd like to keep a record for myself." As I received the papers and stepped out of the bank, I let out a long, slow breath. It felt like a heavy chain had finally been broken. "Thank you." The moment I stepped out of the bank, the early summer breeze felt just a little more comforting against my skin. That night, I sat across from Wesley at our small kitchen table. On the table was a single piece of paper, the payment history I had received from the bank. Wesley looked at it in silence. "You really sent this much, all this time?" "Yeah. After my dad got sick, I thought I was helping the family by covering the mortgage. But after what they did to me on our wedding day, I just can't forgive that. It hurts more because they're family. You're right. What they did was terrible. No one would expect you to keep helping after that." I clasped my hands tightly in my lap. "I'm a little scared. I don't know how my mom or the rest of them will react now that I've stopped. But I just couldn't keep going anymore." Wesley reached out and gently wrapped his hands around mine. "You've done more than enough. Now it's time to live your own life." With those words, something broke loose inside me. I always felt like I had to be strong because I was the eldest daughter. But after what happened yesterday, I can't do it anymore. Wesley nodded deeply. "You were hurt because you loved them, because you trusted them. But you don't have to keep enduring betrayal. You have me. I'll always be on your side." I couldn't hold it in anymore. I cried silently. Wesley said nothing, he just held me close until the tears stopped. When I finally lifted my head, I whispered, "Thank you, Wesley. From now on, I want to make choices for my life." My voice was hoarse, but there was no hesitation in it. Wesley gave me a warm smile and held my hands again. "That's how it should be. And I'll be here to support you every step of the way." My chest swelled with emotion. I nodded slowly, deeply. Up until now, I'd poured everything into meeting my family's expectations, sacrificing my time, my heart, even my future. But no more. I had finally made the decision to reclaim my own life. What had started as support eventually turned into a duty. But support should never be an obligation, it should be a choice. With the relief of having completed the process, I felt a sudden lightness in my heart. Like I had finally put down a burden I'd carried far too long. Still, a part of me feared how my parents might respond. But as the days passed, no call, no message came from them. The silence hung heavily in my chest. Then, one quiet weekend morning, a message popped up on my phone. It was from my Aunt, Sandra. The message simply read, "We'd love for you to come see the newly renovated cottage." That was it. It felt like an invitation to a family reunion, but something deep inside me stirred uneasily. I couldn't help but wonder if I went, would I once again be subjected to their stares? Would I be blamed all over again? I stared at the message for a long time, and for a moment I almost closed it and declined. At that moment, I didn't yet have the emotional strength to respond. But Wesley, who was quietly watching me from across the room, gently said, "You don't have to go if it's too much. But if going helps you take even one step forward, maybe it's worth it. It might be your chance to say what you need to say." His words made me look at my phone again. Even though I was hesitant, I felt something deep inside me stir. A small, fragile courage to take that first step. I nodded slowly. I wasn't the same person I had been. The cottage was a white house on the outskirts of town. In the wide yard, my Aunt Sandra and her husband, along with cousins and other relatives, were gathered and chatting cheerfully. I came alone. Wesley couldn't make it due to work, but he had seen me off warmly saying, "You'll be just fine." "Christina, I'm so glad you came." My aunt hugged me tightly. "This renovated cottage is absolutely beautiful." "It feels like a brand new home," I said to my aunt. "Thank you. It was a lot of work, but worth it. I wanted everyone to come see it. And, well, it's a good excuse to bring the whole family together again. My parents were there. So was my sister Hannah and her husband." My mother avoided eye contact with me. Hannah clung lightly to her husband's arm, laughing and chatting with our relatives as if nothing had happened. My father looked a little worn out, but he gave me a faint, tired smile. My chest tightened. None of them had come to my wedding. At lunch, everyone gathered in the middle of the yard. Aunt Sandra raised her glass. "Thank you all for coming today. A lot has happened, but I'm so happy we could all be together again. Let's keep cherishing the bonds we share. Cheers." Cheers. The clinking of glasses echoed around us. As the meal progressed, conversation grew more relaxed. Then, someone casually brought up a familiar topic. "Hannah, your party the other day was just beautiful. That dress looked amazing on you. Thank you." "It really was like a dream," she replied with a radiant smile, her hand still gently holding her husband's arm. My mother beamed with pride. Watching them, something deep inside me that I had tried to bury began to rise. The absence of my family on my wedding day suddenly struck me all over again. Then Aunt Sandra, as if remembering something, said, "Come to think of it, Christina, you weren't at Hannah's party, were you? Is everything okay?" The atmosphere froze. All eyes turned to me. I couldn't respond immediately. I stared at my glass, trying to steady the storm of emotions inside. But I couldn't stay silent. I slowly looked up, took a deep breath, and spoke. I wasn't at Hannah's party because I wasn't told about it. That day was my wedding day. As murmurs spread through the room, I began to speak the truth I had carried in my heart all this time. I held my wedding on that same day. Not a single family member came. I was told it was because of my father's health. But in truth, Hannah's birthday party was happening at the same time. All of you were there. I found out about it from a post on social media. The murmurs grew louder. Hannah and my mother froze. That's not all. After my father was diagnosed, I spent the last 3 years helping with the mortgage on the family home. I supported them financially every month. And yet, I wasn't even told about the party, and it was scheduled on the same day as my wedding. How could I not feel abandoned like I was cast aside by my own family? And on top of that, my mother posted, "Today is truly special. The only one who deserves to be celebrated is this daughter." A few aunts and uncles gasped audibly. All I ever wanted was a family that supported one another. But the truth is, I was the only one giving. I was the only one sacrificing, without ever being thanked. That was my reality. I fought to keep my voice from trembling. It took a lot of courage to say this in front of everyone today. But I'm done sacrificing my life. What I want now is a family where we treat each other as equals. That's all. Silence fell over the entire gathering. My mother's expression was tense. Hannah looked away. I clenched my fists to hold back the shaking. All I ever wanted was to be loved by my family. It hurts so much because I believed in you. At that moment, my father slowly stood up. "Christina, I'm sorry." His voice was raspy, but his eyes were sincere. "After I got sick, money got tight. Your mother was overwhelmed. We leaned on you too much. And I'm truly sorry about the wedding. We should have been there." I looked at my father. His apology shook something in me. But my mother still averted her eyes. "Mom, don't you have anything to say?" She bit her lip. "I just thought, you were doing fine, financially stable. You didn't seem to need us, and that makes it okay to ignore my wedding." She said nothing. Then my aunt quietly spoke. "Diane, you were wrong. Christina believed in you. She supported you, and what you did was a betrayal." The other relatives nodded. "You can't treat someone unfairly just because they're family." "Christina, you've done more than enough." She's right. We lean too much on her strength, without even realizing it. For the first time, I saw tears well up in my mother's eyes. "I'm sorry. I took you for granted. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you." Part of me felt relieved to hear those words. But another part of me couldn't forgive her so easily. I won't be a sacrifice anymore. I want us to support each other as a family. My father nodded firmly. "We will. I'll try to change too." My mother wiped her tears. "I want to make things right. I truly am sorry." I took a deep breath. It felt like something tight in my chest had finally loosened, just a little. "Thank you, but please don't place any more one-sided expectations on me. I'm going to live my own life." Applause broke out. Aunt Sandra pulled me into a hug. "Well said, Christina." I smiled. Maybe this was what a real new beginning felt like. A week passed since the family reunion. My heart had started to settle, slowly. But I still hadn't replied to the short apology messages my mother had been sending now and then. Right now, I needed to prioritize my own feelings. One morning, after getting home from work, I collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. That's when my phone rang loudly. My screen lit up, Mom. My chest tightened, but I answered. "Hello." Her panicked voice burst through the receiver. "Christina, it's bad. A notice from the mortgage company just arrived. They're threatening foreclosure on the house." I was speechless. "What? What do you mean, foreclosure?" "They said we've fallen behind on payments. If we don't catch up, we could lose the house." "Wait, how did it come to this so suddenly?" Her voice cracked, full of tears. "Since you stopped sending the money, I haven't been able to keep up with the payments. But I just got the notice this morning, please. Just this once, can you cover it? I clenched the phone in my hand. Mom, that's not my responsibility anymore. We already talked about this. I made that decision to protect my own life. Please don't say that. You're the only one I can turn to now. No, stop. You can't keep putting this on me. I've already done more than enough. She broke into sobs on the other end. I'm begging you, just one more time. I exhaled deeply. My answer is no. You and Dad will have to find a way on your own. I ended the call with trembling fingers. Moments later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Hannah. I hesitated but picked it up. What? Her voice was much quieter than I expected. I'm sorry, Christina. I heard everything from Mom. I didn't realize how much I was being favored, how selfish I was. I'm so sorry. I said nothing. I didn't understand how much you gave up, how much you sacrificed. I'm sorry about how your wedding turned out, I really am. Her words pierced my heart. It was too late. And yet, a small part of me felt the weight lift slightly. Thank you for apologizing, Hannah. But I've made my choice. I won't keep sacrificing myself for this family. Please understand that. I do. I don't want to ruin your happiness. I hung up quietly. That night, I told Wesley everything. Sitting at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cup of coffee, I poured out the whole story: my mother's phone call, my sister's apology, all of it. He listened quietly, seriously. By the time I was finished, tears had formed in my eyes. Wesley, what should I do? I feel so torn. Wesley gently took my hands in his. Christina, you've done more than anyone could have asked for. You've given so much. But now, it's time to take care of yourself and our future. I looked up at him. His eyes were steady and clear. But if the house really is foreclosed, I don't know if I can handle that. I understand. But this isn't your burden alone. It's a problem the whole family needs to face. You don't need to keep sacrificing yourself for them. His words made my tears spill over. Thank you, Wesley. I don't know what I'd do without you. I'm always on your side. No matter what. That night, for the first time in a long while, I slept a little more deeply. The road ahead wasn't going to be easy, but I was finally ready to face it. Since the day I refused my mother's plea for money and received my sister's apology, I had slowly begun to make peace with my heart. With Wesley's constant support, I was starting to turn my attention back to my life. Not long after, I received a phone call from Aunt Sandra. Christina, do you have a moment to talk? I nodded instinctively. She had stood by me ever since the family reunion. Diane and the others, they've started to change their way of thinking a little. A friend of mine recommended a great family therapist. I was wondering, would you consider joining them for a few sessions? I hesitated. Would it really make a difference for me to be there? It would. Not just for them, but for you too. More than anything, they need to hear your voice in a space where it will be taken seriously. I took a deep breath. If I stayed silent, nothing would ever change. This might be our last chance. Okay, I'll go. A few days later, we gathered in a family therapy room at the local community center. The therapist was Dr. Kevin Johnson, a calm, middle-aged man with a warm presence. Thank you all for coming today. My hope is that this becomes a space where each of you can better understand one another. I sat on one side of the room. Across from me were my mother, my father, and Hannah. My mother looked tense. My father gave me a quiet, steady gaze, and Hannah sat with her hands clasped on her lap, eyes downcast. The session began. Let's go around and each share what you're feeling right now. My father spoke first. Christina, I'm truly sorry. After I got sick, our life became chaotic. We relied on you too much. But now I understand how heavy that must have been for you." I looked into his eyes. There was more sincerity in them than I'd seen before. My mother kept her gaze lowered, but after a moment, she lifted her head. "I leaned on you too much. I gave Hannah special treatment, that's true. But I just thought, since you were so capable, you'd be okay." I didn't realize what I was doing. I spoke quietly, but clearly. "Mom, Dad, I don't hate you, but I've been holding in my pain for a long time, covering Dad's medical bills, helping with the house loan, putting my own life on hold. But what happened on my wedding day, that broke me." Tears welled in my mother's eyes. "I regret not going to your wedding more than anything. I let pride get in the way. And as your mother, I should have never made you feel so abandoned." Fighting back tears of my own, I replied, "I'm done sacrificing myself for this family. But I do want to rebuild something with you. Something new. But only if we can be equals." Dr. Johnson nodded. "That's a very important feeling. How does everyone else take that in?" My father nodded firmly. "Thank you for saying that. I want us to be equals too. That's what family should be." My mother wiped her tears. "I want to change too. I don't want to rely on you so much anymore. I want to stand on my own feet." Next to her, Hannah finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Christina, I'm sorry too. I leaned on you without realizing it. I regret everything about your wedding. I want to do better. I want to take real responsibility as part of this family." Her words gently loosened something in my chest. Later in the session, we talked more deeply about our family dynamics. My mother acknowledged how she'd let Hannah become too dependent. My father promised to be more transparent about financial matters moving forward. Hannah vowed to keep working toward her independence. At the end, Dr. Johnson said, "Rebuilding a family takes time, but having these honest conversations, that's the first and most important step." I held on to those words. As we continued with more sessions, I saw my mother begin to change. Rather than relying on me, she started trying to solve things herself. One day, she said to me, "I'm doing my best to manage without your help. We've worked something out with relatives, and the mortgage payments are under control. I won't ask anything more of you, and I'll repay everything you've given us. It might take time, but I promise I will." "I'm truly grateful, Christina." Her words filled my chest with warmth. "I'm really glad to hear that, and there's no rush on the repayments. What matters most to me is that I still want to be part of this family, but with boundaries. That's important. Of course. I support you in your life." Even my father had become more active in supporting her. Around the same time, I got another message from Hannah. "I've been thinking a lot during these sessions. I really want to change. I depended on you too much, and I'm sorry. From now on, I'll work hard to stand on my own." "I'm really glad I finally understand your feelings." I replied simply, "Thank you. I'm rooting for you." Our family had once fallen apart. But little by little, we were building something new. One sunny Sunday afternoon, I was out walking with Wesley. "You know, Wesley, my family is slowly changing. And for the first time, I'm starting to look forward to going home." Wesley smiled back. "That's a beautiful thing. It's all because you had the courage to face them." I gently squeezed his hand. "Thank you. I wouldn't have come this far without you on my side." "I'll always be on your side," he said. I smiled from my heart. I was no longer someone who lived only to sacrifice for others. Now I was learning to build a new kind of relationship with my family, one that allowed me to protect my own life too. For the first time, I was walking forward as the main character in my own life. Things wouldn't go back to the way they were. But that was okay. I can face my family little by little while still protecting my own life. Not by carrying everything like I used to, but by maintaining a balanced, equal distance. I took a deep breath. For the first time in years, I felt a small, genuine hope for the future. "Let's go enjoy this new life," I whispered in my heart as I looked into Wesley's eyes,